Yeah, we're gonna give her a minute or two here. Let everybody enjoy. Let everybody enjoy this backdrop. Hold on, I can see. We'll go to one side. We'll go to the other. So we'll come on with this here. Hope everybody's having a good Monday. And I know I am. Just got done watching football, as I'm sure many of you did. The fantastic. The Bears. Ouch for all my Bears fans out there. Sorry about that, but it is what it is. So trust me, being a Vikings fan does not help the situation when it comes to wanting to watch football. But fantasy football is there, so we're good. But that's not what we're here for tonight. So Q loves you coming to you live. I've got a special show tonight. Let me take this little mask off. I want to give a little shout out there. That's it. For everybody, we know why we're here tonight. We know why we're here. Everybody wear your masks. That's my side on it. Wear your masks and support cancer. Support cancer research. We are here tonight to discuss what this month is all about, which is Cancer Awareness Month. I've been working with Susan G. Komen for quite some time now, for I guess a couple of years actually now, and kind of turned into a spokesperson for breast cancer. And certainly what we're here to talk about tonight is my sister's battle with that. And while we're getting to that point, I'm going to introduce Angela McBRIDE. How you doing there, sis?
Hey.
Hey. Hey. You didn't sound Minnesotan at all there.
Yeah, I know it'll come out.
It's gonna come out. I'm hoping for it. I'm gonna try to drag it out. I'm gonna try to drag it out of you.
Got it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. We've got some fantastic. We got your family back there too. They're with now the dogs, which I'm sure they're going to be hearing me talk for most of the time. So
yeah.
Everybody give love to the dogs. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But listen, we're here tonight. What we're going to do is we're here to talk about we're here to talk about the situation, which is cancer. We're not here to have a bad night or cause anybody some stress or any anxiety over the situation for those that are battling through it or have a situation. We're here to spread a little light and tell our story a little bit as a family on what we went through. And we're also going to be, if you're out there and you're watching and you watch this, let's say up by Halloween, we're going to say, I'm going to Venmo Ryan-Quast, RYN hyphen QUAST, Venmo me any donations that you feel like you want to send. I'm going to put together a little donation package to a group and send some money over. So if you feel like doing that throughout, it's great. Again, if you're watching this prior to Halloween, I'm going to wait till do that. So you can do that anytime, even if you're watching it post live, which is fine. But anyway, for those that are out there,
for everybody, but yeah, it's definitely been handy that they're able to let me to work from home, and and just even Zoom and all that stuff, has kept us all sane so we can see each other.
I guess I've been living on Zoom for the last 6 weeks, right?
I know.
Well, yeah. we've been back and forth, which has been a godsend. I mean, to be able to sit here and to even see the family and do that stuff. So yeah, people are Zoomed out, people are COVIDed out, all these things, right? But you got
to do what you got to do.
It is what it is, and it's so it pertains to to cancer in general. I mean, it's kind of the same mentality. What we're going through in a sense right now is, breeds. What's the word I'm looking for? Where you handle something. What's the word I'm looking for? And you can keep. Perseverance, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you fight through it.
You fight through it, and you do what you got to do, and you try to keep positive and all that good stuff. And we're going to go into kind of what we went through and kind of the ups and downs
And how you became Q Loves You and why.
It definitely was one of the 90% catalyst as to why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And,
Yep.
you know, I mean, granted, all the money I'm making is just tremendous, but, but you know, it's not about, you know, like I say, it's not, and that was a joke for everybody out there. I'm not killing it right now, right? I'm not killing it. Trying hard, definitely learning.
It's the thought, it's the purpose behind it. It's the stories.
It's the stories. There's a lot of good stories. And, you know, I
Yep.
always say, and I say it a million times, anybody that watches anything I do or talks to me, it's not about the money, it's about the honey. And a lot of people are like, well, that's good.
Exactly.
Tell your landlord that. Well, yeah, it's a good point. That's
Right?
a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. But listen, you know, we're live, breathing, kicking it and learning and growing and
Yep.
still here and still able to fight just like, you know, what we're talking about. So realistically, you know, one of the things I want to touch base on too is, you know, our family and what we, you know, some of the background is our family that we've lost multiple family members on both sides of our family to cancer.
Yep.
You know, one that was really difficult that I remember very, very well. I mean, all of them are tough with cousins
Right.
and a lot of stuff. But I mean, the one I remember first that I really, really remember was our Aunt Linda, who
Yep.
passed. And we had, you know, we watched, I'm not going to go too far into the details on that, but literally watched her die on her deathbed. And you know, when, you know, and this was about 26, 27 years ago. I think I was 14 or 15. I'd give away my age. I don't know.
Yeah, it was about that.
Right. Yeah. Sorry about that.
You were only sick. You were only
25.
what, 10?
I'm 25. 25. Anyway, the background of that is that, you know, when you get the news of something like this now and you're not really in it, you certainly think the worst right off the bat because of what we saw and where the medical world was at that time. Certainly scares the shit out of you, right? I mean, and it scares the shit out of everybody no matter what. Okay, period.
Exactly.
Story, right?
The word itself is bad.
Yeah, you hear it and you go numb. Now,
Yeah.
Certainly the first instinct of everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
and obviously you, Angie, had a different experience. I had a different experience, right? And we have, I mean, everybody in the family and all these things, everybody has this experience, but it's such a freaking nuclear bomb of just what the hell?
Every emotion,
everything, right? So, you know, let's take me through. I mean, take us through a little bit of when it happened, and we'll kind of just compare notes and talk a little bit.
I mean, well, first off, you know, when it happens in the first place, it's not just me. I mean, as much as there's, you know, I gotta go through my own fight, but everybody has their own story, and we know that. We all have our own. My kids had their own story, how they dealt with it. You have your own story. Even my support team and all my friends and whoever supported me. Granted, when I found out about it, I didn't really want to be too public about it.
Yeah. So, but I mean, let's start. Let's get into that aspect. But I wanted to hear literally like the day, the moment when it came down, like what led up to the actual talking to the doctor. You know, what was that?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, granted, I usually go every year. I get a mammogram every year. So this year that I got it, I ended up being a couple months late on getting my normal mammogram. But I didn't have any symptoms because, you know, as they say, do your own self-check and whatever, which is what I did. So I did go about 3 months later than my normal mammogram to go get a checkup. And it took probably about 3 or 4 weeks right off the bat. And I got a call saying that, hey, we need to do some more testing. We need to do another like ultrasound. We're not sure if we saw something. Let's go in and just do a quick ultrasound. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. I've never had any, I mean, I've been doing it for over 20 some years now. So then they went in probably, I'd say 3-4 weeks later, finding out that, yeah, the ultrasound looks a little weird. It's it's kind of a weird position and stuff. So why don't you go get a biopsy? So at that point, I'm like, oh shit, excuse my language, but I was like, really, is it really that's something? So the thought of it was scary. I didn't even tell my husband. He was on a business trip. I didn't know what to tell him because I was like, let's not get him all excited. I didn't want to call him being out of town. So I just scheduled to do this ultrasound. I'm sorry, we went to the ultrasound and then I had to go do a biopsy. At that point, when I went to the ultrasound that day, he was out of town. I waited for him to get back after that weekend. And then I sat him down and told him, look, something showed up. Don't know what it is. Don't know if it's major. So we went and did that. He and I were both kind of holding our breaths, and they wanted to schedule a biopsy, which is what ended up happening. And the guy was really cool. We did it. It was, in and out of the office. It was pretty, nerve-wracking in the first place. But then the guy was like, I'll let you know in about probably in the next week or so what your results are. I got it in less than 24 hours. The doctor called me and told me that you got to go see somebody because of the kind of biopsy that I pulled. You have a fast growing cancer and you need to see somebody as soon as possible.
Okay. And what date was that on?
That was the day of the biopsy was December 3rd, and I found out less than 18 hours later. Okay, 18 on December 4th.
So we're coming up on 2 years since this went down. So
it was, December 4th of 2018.
Given a time frame of like how quickly this whole situation moves and how slowly it moves at the same time, right?
Yeah.
What was the first thing that went through your head? What's the first thing that went through your mind?
I cried. It was kind of like you got hit with a Mack truck. And it was hard for me just because my first thought is my kids and my dogs, but my kids and stuff, and how am I going to tell everybody? What am I going to do? How am I going to, it wasn't even, it was my family, how they're going to survive if something happens to me. That was my first thought. And that was scary, and let alone having to deal with it and whether I was going to have the kind you can survive or how fast can it grow. So, there was a lot of questions I didn't have answers to yet. And on that, for that purpose, I did not tell my family until I was able to see pretty much all the doctors I needed to see a couple weeks afterward. And that's when my kids found out, but I needed to have my answers before.
A couple weeks afterwards is when you told the kids?
Yeah, after I went and got the biopsy done. My dog's really loud right now.
Yeah, that's okay. They like, that's what happens. That's what happens.
Anyway, so
you're gonna be able to get through that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, it was, I basically told them after I was set up to do the lumpectomy, which happened December 18th of that month. And my kids found out the week prior. I had already seen an oncologist. I saw a surgeon, and I talked with him. I talked to an oncologist, but the surgeon and I set up my appointment to get the lumpectomy December 18th. And I told them about 3 or 4 days prior to my surgery because I wanted them to know why I was going in the hospital. And so I got my kids together and we had like a big family meeting, and that in itself made my kids nervous. They knew something wasn't right. But it was I had answers for them. At least I knew the type of cancer I had, which ended up being stage 2A. They were trying to find out, we didn't know the stage at that point yet. Sorry about that. It was cancerous. We didn't know the stage yet, but after the lumpectomy is when they found all that stuff out. So they were basically it was hard. It just the hard part of it was telling my kids and how they were going to, try to stay positive. That was my whole thing, is I didn't want it to be negative. I wanted to fight. I wanted to be positive.
Well,
and
and I think, speaking about that, I mean, I got the phone call, I can remember, from Greg.
Yeah.
I was at work. And I remember, it was surreal. I mean, it's right in the middle, right in the middle of the shift. It was right when I was working at the restaurant. It was,
Did you have to leave? Did you leave work that day? Cause I wasn't sure.
I couldn't at that moment. I left a
Yeah.
little earlier than I typically would. But I had to, the reaction is what I'm talking about. It's the same thing. The initial reaction is the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Right.
I know.
The first thing is the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And, and I think I went home that night. I think you and I talked that night.
We did. Mm-hmm.
And, by the time I got to you on the phone, I think I'd gathered myself pretty well.
I know I didn't.
We both were, I mean, obviously we both were, you were where you were, and I was trying to be there with you to the best that I could. But I just remember, the conversation.
Yep.
The conversation that we had, right? I mean, we talked about the positivity.
Yep.
And allowing yourself to grieve, right?
I did.
Allowing yourself to grieve, but it was one of those things where, okay, we all were like, let's not jump ahead of the game.
Right.
Let's not go too fast. Let's think about this here. And then, right, we started thinking about the science is caught up a little bit. There's a lot of things, right, that we don't know about. At that point, we didn't know. We really didn't know shit.
well, and the thing is the worst part is at that point, I was still doing an unknown. I didn't know my stage of cancer. I didn't know if it was anywhere else. I didn't, so there was still a lot of unknowns that first day that we found out, and so of course the first thing you're thinking of is, oh my God, am I going to last, whatever. So you think you face mortality in a way you have to face it at one point, but it was like literally in your face going, holy crap. And I felt, and I was mad. I was frustrated because I had changed my life around. I was getting healthy. I lost like 60 pounds. It was just, and then you're like, really? After all this is what you're going to do to me? So it was really frustrating.
Well, and
everything.
Well, and I think that's right. That what you just said right there. Is this what you're going to do to me?
Yeah.
but the conversation we had, and we started getting into it, was, yes, this is what's happening to you. This is happening to you. This is what you're getting.
It's true.
Now, what are you going to do with that information? You can curl up into a ball. You can say, oh, well, it was fucking me. Or you can.
I did give myself, I gave myself a week.
We said, and that was what we're talking about. Give yourself time to grieve. And I remember we said, give yourself some time to grieve. Take it in. You deserve it. It's good. Don't jump the gun. Stay present.
Yep.
And once that time frame is up, then it's positive. It's going to work. It's all work. Mind over matter. It's going to work. Yep. Right.
No, it's true.
Well, it's true to say, but how hard was that?
It was hard. I mean, honestly, at that point in time, I was really trying to I was willing to give everything up. I told, even when I went and saw the doctor, just take everything. That's how much I didn't care.
What's everything when you're talking about? What are you
I wanted him to take and give me a mastectomy, remove my breasts. I didn't want it in me, whatever it took to make me stay healthy and alive. And it's funny, you grow up and that's all you're worried about, but when that time comes, they don't matter that much to you anymore.
They being your breasts.
Yes.
We can this stuff as adults on the show. You're talking about the ladies. You're talking about the ladies.
No, it's true. That's true. But so it was one of those things where I wanted to just give it all up. Well, the thing is, I'm like, look, I can't jump to any conclusions. That's when I started talking myself through this. And I said, let me talk to the doctor. Let me see what he says. You know, I'm here. We found this. There's a reason. I mean, I always kind of feel like there's some sort of reason for everything happening, bad or good. And this was one of those things. It's like, okay, this is not a funny joke, but okay, now what do I got to do?
Well, and I thought wasn't there something that you went there for, like you wouldn't have found it, you found it early or something like that by accident?
So what happened is when I first went, like I was saying, I was 3 months behind on my mammogram, my normal time frame that I got it. They told me after the biopsy, because it was such a fast growing cancer, I actually most likely saved my life, because if I would have went at my regular time frame 3 months earlier, the cancer would have been probably so small that they wouldn't have caught it, and a year later would have been bad. And so that kind of weird, you know, synchronicity, I don't know, or
do we call that weird anymore?
no,
All right.
It worked out the way it was supposed to work out, right?
And that's one thing. That's one mentality. That's our mentality. Yeah. That's really, as a unit, well, and certainly within myself, right?
Yeah.
But you and I and what we've talked about,
yeah,
we truly have lived that mentality of it's not about sync. I mean, it's not weird anymore. The synchronicity is there when you realize the universe is there, and you can buy into the system of why the hell is this happening to me. I'm certainly able to look back where we were to where we are now, and look back and go, okay.
I mean, look, like I said, the doctor himself said that if I would have gone, I probably would have missed it a year later. I may not have been there to talk about it. And so it, you know, after everything, in December, the end of December, then is when they did the lumpectomy. They found out it was stage 2.
December 2018.
December 18th, 2018 is when they took the lump out, found out that it did unfortunately go to one of my lymph nodes. They took 3 lymph nodes out total. I got one that had the cancer in it. I call it the invader, so I don't like using that word, but, or the intruder, sorry. But because of it being under 2 centimeters still, it was 1.3 centimeters, and it hit one of my lymph nodes, they consider that stage 2A, and that's what I had. Okay. And so because it hit the lymph node, that's when I got the news I needed to go through both chemo and radiation therapies.
Right, because at first they were saying, if I remember correctly, they were saying it's just going to be just a little radiation.
Yeah, if it wouldn't have passed into one of my lymph nodes, they would have just had the radiation treatment, which hopefully would have stopped it. And then because it was positive, estrogen positive, I have to actually take a pill, which I'm currently taking for like 10 years, but it's receptive to estrogen. So technically, I have to protect my body of extra estrogen and hormones and such. So it blocks it. And that's what I'm doing currently, which they were saying that if it, like I said, if it didn't get to the lymph node, I would have had to do radiation and then the estrogen pill. So I wouldn't have needed to get chemo, but it hit the lymph node, and I did have to go through 6 months of chemo.
Well, so let's put that in perspective. Realistically, how fast that happened compared to when you had your last mammogram done, right? Yep. I mean, it grew that fast in that time. Another year would have been.
I know. Well, he told me that. He did tell me that the kind that I had, it would have, I mean, he said, if I don't get it out within the 6 weeks of him finding it in there, he said it would have spread to all kinds of places. That's how quickly I needed to get it out.
So let's talk about some of the ways that they found out what stage it was. I know they did. I mean, like to really decipher whether you needed your mammogram, or excuse me, mastectomy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or if you didn't need one, like what was it? It was a DNA that they had to go in, and a lot of people don't know, but how did they detect where it was coming from, or if they knew where it was coming from, to figure out what you needed for services, I guess?
Well, I mean, he said because of it being so, I mean, there's no small, it's always the C word, but the size of it made a difference too. It wasn't like my breast was encapsulated in it or anything like that. You know, it wasn't like, because of the sizing of it, I also had to get what they call an onco test, an onco type test, which is a test on the actual lump that they took out. So they basically do a biopsy of all of my lump and go through it, and then they kind of configure it and find out what your reoccurrence stages and stuff are on the type of cancer tumor that it is. They were hoping that I would be under 20%, but unfortunately I had an onco reoccurrence test without any type of chemo or radiation at 34, which was higher than what they were expecting. So that also determined my treatment. So because they do the biopsy and go through and cut, you know, decipher my tumor, everybody's tumors are different. That's why now with the new science, they put a strategy together for each person, because not every one of those tumors are the same in every person. They're all made up a little differently. And so that's how they determine your treatment.
Right, which back in the day, it was just a blanket treatment. I mean,
exactly.
Right?
And that's true. He told me that the size of the tumor that I had, and because it hit my lymph node, they would have automatically, at the same time my aunt got sick, like in the, you know, late 80s, early 90s, I would have had a mastectomy automatically. He said, and it's changed because of that.
Right. You wouldn't even, and it wouldn't have mattered.
Right. It wouldn't. They would have took them right away. So that's crazy.
Well, and again, I mean, obviously I'm not obviously I'm not a woman. I'm for most. If anybody think, listen, if anybody's talking shit out there, don't let me come get you. No, but not that that's bad. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not a woman. Anyway, for those.
But men can get breast cancer too.
Certainly. But again, it's one of those things where I haven't been in that knowledge frame of, for me, obviously, or for men, it's mostly pancreatic, right? Is our main thing for the most part, but it's not something we sit there and know about. So you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
You don't have any idea why to follow that other than check to make sure. And then all of a sudden you find out all this information. And you were you went to, was it Mayo Clinic?
I actually was initially going to go. So I went to my doctor initially, who did my, I saw her, my lady doctor, I call her. She's the one who actually referred me to a couple different doctors. Initially, I was going to go to Mayo Clinic because the nice thing is it's not like but 5 miles from my house out here, and they were obviously known for their cancer treatments and such. So I made an appointment to see them. And at the same time, I had 2 other doctors that I also scheduled 2 appointments with, because I wanted to get anything and everything from all my doctors and then make a decision on who I was going to see. Well, Mayo Clinic couldn't get me in until about 3 or 4 weeks later. And my doctor, who ended up being my breast surgeon and such, he got me in right away, like a week after, or just before my lumpectomy, actually. He got me in about a week before that, which was much earlier than what Mayo could get me in. So I decided to go to this Dr. Zanis. I found out after talking with him that not only was I getting a great surgeon, but he was a surgeon who actually teaches the Mayo Clinic doctors on how to do reconstruction and everything on the breasts if you do have to have mastectomies, does all of their teaching for the Mayo Clinic doctors. So no, I didn't get Mayo Clinic, but I got their teacher. So I was really thrilled.
It's that weird timing again, isn't it? That weird,
I know.
Weird timing that just keeps on happening all the time. Weird.
Yeah, it was a cool, good coincidence. And I felt actually that in itself made me start feeling optimistic, I guess. Just little things here and there gave me a little bit of more hope. And that was one of them.
So you begin getting treatment.
Yeah.
Let's kind of go through just a little bit about treatment. Now you definitely, you scored in winning again, weird timing, scored winning a nutritionist, right? They were doing a test, right? They were doing a.
So what happened is my oncologist who came with my surgeon, they tag team, they work at different hospitals, but they always do a lot of work together. So I was going to all kinds of different places, but my oncologist, Dr. Albert Wendt, is amazing. Anyway, he is so into helping each of his patients. I've never seen anybody get so in depth in somebody like he's helped me. And so when I got with him, he was all excited because of the type of cancer I had. They were doing a clinical trial initially. So I got to, for the first 3 months of my first chemo series that I had to do, I was on this first clinical trial that he had because that type of chemo I was getting would affect your heart. And so they were doing a clinical trial with exercise at that time. I was either going to get without a coach or with a coach, and they do random, they pull your number randomly out of the computer. And I luckily got the exercise coach and stuff. And so I had to go there weekly for, I think, 3 days a week. I went twice before chemo, and then I actually went the day after chemo. And I did that for 3 months, 15 weeks almost. And so that I never once missed, as much as I really wanted to some days. My husband, Greg, he pushed me out of bed a couple times and said, you got to go, you got to go, you got to do this exercise. And so I got to do that during my first set of chemo treatments. And then my last few months of chemo is when I did get on another clinical trial, and I did get another option of either getting nutritional books and you doing it with yourself for 2 years, or if I get a nutritionist. And I got a nutritionist for 2 years. So that's who I'm working with currently.
Sure. That's just the weird timing of it all.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
so it's so weird. Okay, so now you start getting radiation, which is a more centralized, right, on the area of where it was found, and then you have chemo. All right, how many rounds of chemo did you get, or what was? Do you remember how many? I remember it was.
I did 2 times a month for 6 months.
2 times a month for 6 months.
And I had 2 different types of chemo. So the first type of chemo was for 3 months. And then the other 3 months was another round of chemo. That set of chemo was every day for those 3 months.
Every day for those 3 months.
Yeah.
And then it was every couple weeks.
Every week. I'm losing my mind. But yeah. So I had to do the chemo, the chemo with the 2 rounds for 3 months, and then on the last 3 months I had a week of chemo, I had to go weekly for 3 months. So that's how that second phase was. And then after that, I had 6 weeks of radiation.
So you did chemo, 2 different phases, and then we got black. And then the chemo, if I remember correctly, I remember us. I mean, you were actually, it didn't hit you as hard on the chemo aspect, right? Everybody was saying the chemo is going to kick the shit out of you, or possibly to a lot of people, and you were actually okay.
Yeah.
I mean, considering what chemo has done to a lot of people, right? That we know, right?
I mean,
the hard part for you was the radiation, from what I remember. The hardest part.
Yeah, well, the hardest part was when we did the chemo. My goal was, the cool thing was my doctor, my surgeon, he actually gave me this book. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy again. Okay. But my surgeon actually gave me this book, and he was helping me try to get ready for it, right? So there was a whole bunch of side effects that could happen. Losing hair was one of them. And I basically put an arsenal of stuff together at my house, because I saw people go through chemo, I had friends that went through chemo. I mean, so I basically had a big old pail next to my bed. I had crackers. I had, medicine for nausea. I had it all sitting there. And thank goodness I kept some crackers in my belly. And I never, ever one time got sick. Not through my whole chemo treatment, not at all.
Not one time. And you started to lose some hair eventually, right? You lost pretty much everything. March.
2 weeks after I started, yep.
And that's what they say, right? About 2 weeks after, it's pretty much like clockwork, 2 weeks, and it starts to happen for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they were saying? If I remember right?
Yeah, my doctor said that he said that I would be basically literally 2 weeks. It was joking too. He goes, I think I saw him on February 14th and I was supposed to come in 2 weeks later. And he goes, yeah, he said, it might start coming off. And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, he said, it's literally 14 days later that it starts to shed. And then I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I was wearing my ponytail and stuff and trying to be optimistic. And just like clockwork that morning, I noticed hair on my pillow.
Yeah. And yeah. So, and then you and I had a very interesting time frame here too. You and I had a very interesting thing that went on. So we, one of the things I said to you was when this happened, I mean, we have a video of it, but when this happened, this is how this came about. And so I've had it. I realized I actually had a pretty damn nice noggin, so I just kept it. And it's a little more inexpensive. I want to say thank you to Melody Russ out there, who was my hair stylist, who gave me the clippers. But then she lost a buttload of money because I stopped doing my hair. But she, I went in. I remember the day I said I made a pact with you, and Greg did too, and actually there were a few other people that I knew that went along with you that were really,
which was amazing.
And so we got together. And that day when your hair started falling out, said, the minute your hair starts falling out, we're all shaving our heads together.
Yep. So I think it was like March 10th or something like that. We decided that was the day because I just couldn't handle it anymore. It was coming out too thick. And I wasn't going to wake up to sparsely head of hair. I just decided, nope, that's the time. So
yeah, it's actually, it's one of those things I'm showing some pretty amazing.
Huey.
Do you see that on your end?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to go and give those a couple, but you can kind of do a little bit here. I think we'll get to that in a second, but I'll go backward because here's some other stuff here too. This is kind of post that.
Oh, wow. I forgot about that one.
Forgot about those, didn't you?
Wow.
Look at that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was when I came out there shortly after, right?
Yeah, you came out there.
Yeah, I came out after we did it because we also did this. You were.
Oh yeah, during my exercise clinic.
Right? We kind of went out there, and I came with you to one of your sets, and
that's right. I forgot about you coming with me.
Yeah, well, you get a little chemo brain, man. That happens.
I did. I actually, I wish I mean, sometimes I'm like kind of wishing I could still use it, but.
Well, and here's some hair, so if people want to know what your hair looked like. Sorry, I'm going through this. Kind of, sorry, I figured I'd throw some of these in there for a little. I think you got to kick out. That was the opening of the vet. Yeah, look at that. Sorry,
that was fun though. That was a fun weekend.
That was a fun weekend, and look at that. Remember we went shopping and.
Yes, we went and saw that 4D movie or whatever.
Oh, the 4D movie, yeah. But that was back then. But I just wanted to show that was our old house. That's our grandpa's house. Grandpa. Sorry, we're going to.
I'm McBRIDE.
So I wanted to just go through family, but I just want to show your hair, or cousin's hair. You had hair.
Yep. That was the year before.
That was the year before the hair. Anyway, we'll just. Oh, that was down on the field. Look at that one. Yeah.
Yep. That was cool. That was fun.
We'll go back to mom and dad because they never make an appearance on these things. So I want to give a little love.
I know.
So that was me with mom and dad. But yeah, so we'll move forward here in a little bit. But that was we went out to dinner. That morning, that breakfast was the most ridiculous thing I've ever had. Anyway.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, look at that one. I just want to stop back on that real quick.
Huey. I just want to call you Huey there. I don't know.
I got some Huey for you.
And then that's what happened. Oh, I thought you were going to go in a band of angels.
No. I wanted to just take a little breather, kind of break things up a little bit, but how to kind of talk about. I mean, the pain
Yeah.
the eating the THC, by the
Yeah.
way, which
Yep.
helped you with your help. You didn't take a lot of it. You didn't have to take a lot of it, but
No, but I used it. I
yeah.
mean, there were
Well,
times
we used it.
you had to test it.
I had
You
to
had to
test. I had
like
to make sure it
test,
was okay.
make sure it was good for me to take, I guess.
Just making sure I gotta, it's like the king back in the day. You know what I mean? They had
Yeah,
the jester or whatever would take the sip before you, whatever.
right. Exactly. You're just
That's.
making sure.
I'm just making sure you're
You're
okay.
you had to make sure a couple different times before I got to it, I think.
I made damn sure I was real positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No, I did have to do that, and I am grateful for the medical marijuana stuff. It did help me. There were some nights where the worst part about my first series of chemo was it was really hard because as the chemo goes through, it basically this is my scar from a port that they put in me, and this goes through my neck into this nice big artery here. So I had a line in there, and so they would connect my chemo here, and that would go through my blood system. So all of my appendages and my and even my bones the day after chemo would just ache and hurt. And I get where people were talking about pain. So there were times, I mean, that's what I used the THC for, and it helped me. Mostly I did it to relax at nighttime so I could sleep because it was so achy, and Motrin and that stuff just didn't work. Ibuprofen and things, it definitely need to be stronger. And it did help me sleep. So that's what I used, and it was worth it.
well, and I remember the radiation, so you get
Yeah.
the chemo part and oddly enough, the radiation, and they kind of flip-flopped it. There was a few things about this process now to kind of just say. One of the things I guess I appreciated, I mean, and we'll get back to the radiation aspect, but in order of like these things where everybody was like, the chemo is going to be worse. And again, it's case by case.
Right.
And the radiation's not so bad for
Right.
like, it's not as
It's
bad
true.
for radiation. Yep. Right. Well, also during the beginning of this too, I remember it being one of those things where, for me, I'm one of those guys that, and everything I've ever done or whatever, it's like, I kind of break it so that it's kind of the worst case scenario a lot of times, so that if it's not as bad, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
For people, right? If
it's
you
true.
go the opposite way and you're like, oh, it's really, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a little thing. Don't sweat it.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. You're just going to have a little, you're just going to have a little workout. You'll just, you'll be fine. You'll take some estrogen. No big deal. Right. And then,
right.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and let's amp it up a little bit more, but that's all it's going to be happening. Maybe a round of chemo. I remember it being like smaller amounts. And then it was like, well, no, we got to do it. So every time it's like, damn it. What the, right? I mean, usually it was one of the things we talked about is I understand. And again, it's one of those things where you have to balance it because you don't want to scare the shit out of everybody because you want to keep them positive and in good spirits. So if you overload all of that at once, it's one of those things I had to battle because I was getting pissed at your doctors, right? I was getting pissed at the way it was going down because I'm like, this shit, what, like how, like they're telling us no. And then it's like, you're raising the bar and your expectations are this, and then it's blast you. And it's like all these different levels of pain and heartache that you have to, obviously I'm not going through it personally, but I was there with you and, to an extent. And
well, and the thing is, the radiation, or I'm sorry, the chemo was definitely interesting, but I knew it was going to be hard. The thing that kept me going though is when I would go into my fusion area, it wasn't just me. There were a bunch of other patients in there, and I saw some patients in there that I could tell just didn't have, they for the life of them, they couldn't smile. They were having a hard time even talking to anyone. Everything that came out of a few of their mouths were so negative, and I was not going to allow that to happen. And so when I got to the fusion center, I kind of started joking with people, and I got to start to see the nurses, and my husband and I would actually start joking. And I was loud and obnoxious during my fusions as much as I just didn't want them to be on their own and lonely. Some of them didn't have a partner with them. So it was just, I was like, if I'm going through this, I'm doing good. I'm doing great. And I can get through this shit. And seeing some of those people, all I was trying to do was at least give them a little bit of brightness, because I knew what they were going through, at least to a certain extent, because all of us had a different type of cancer. We didn't all have the same. And so I got to know a few of those people, not necessarily personally, but I did stop and walk around a couple of times and introduce myself to some of them.
Well, and they talked to you about being kind of helping out at the.
Yeah. They told me I had to be a year clear of cancer, free of cancer, and that they would love for me to volunteer and help out with their program at the hospital. But with everything going on with COVID, I can't even think that thought right this moment. So unfortunately, I got to wait probably another year or so, depending on when they start letting people into the fusion centers, because right now, of course, it's limited just for the patients and their family or their person to take them home. So yeah,
which is,
it's kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy. Now, getting into the radiation just a little bit. I mean, the radiation was just like basically a sunburn. And the reason I'm going into this a little bit, obviously, we want to go through the steps and take people through it. So if anybody's watching this or gets to watch it, they can kind of see what the real deal goes on behind the scenes a little bit, right? I think we're covering a pretty decent amount of basis, but it was like just a straight shot of radiation to the same spot over and over and over and over and over.
Somewhat like that. So I had a great radiologist. She, there's different methods. So in the 6 weeks, you have a specific area. They basically go wide, and then inside, they basically go in and, like I said, do a whole wide area for about a good week. And then they come in and they get a little closer, and then they get a little closer. And then right at the end, they do it right on this spot or in that vicinity of where the lump was. So they keep directing the beam, if you want to call it. I got my first official tattoo of blue marks on my body. That's where they had to keep me in line all the time. So they lined me up with these dots that they tattooed on me. And so when the problem with it,
that's like in jail, you get the dot, like the tear drops.
Kind of. Except
that's like your cancer. You battle cancer. You're getting your dots for.
Yep. I got a dot on my chest, and I got 2 on my sides, and that's the lines or the lasers that they use to line me up so that I could stay in the same exact spot at all times, so that I could hit the right spot in my chest or in my breast.
Okay.
So the chemo going through that was rough, but I never got sick. But with radiation, you didn't feel it per se. You felt tired. That's the one thing I have to say about chemo is I was always tired, but I didn't get sick. And with radiation, I was sick. I was tired, but then probably about 3 weeks into it, halfway into it, I got really badly burned. Like, it was blistered up all the way underneath my arm.
I remember
my
that.
Sides. I was burned pretty bad, so they had to restructure my treatment. The reason I was burned is because they said that when you have bigger breasts, they have to throw in more radiation to get to the spot that you had the cancer, and because of that, it's more waves going into your
makes sense
into your breast, and because it's thicker and denser, that's what happened.
I mean, I know it's gonna sound weird, but you got to microwave a 2-pound thing of beef a lot longer than do a 5-ounce piece of beef.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
true.
Kind of like that. Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what happened. So the radiation made me tired, but it took me a long time. It actually affected me to where I had to lay in my bed for a couple weeks, literally with nothing on my chest in that area to keep it, aired up, or so that it was hitting the air so that it would heal. And that unfortunately I didn't get to go to work and things like that because of that, so I had to deal with all that. So it was interesting. It kind of bummed me out.
Well, that was, I remember that being, some of the darker times. I mean, it was a slow progression down. Like I remember I was talking and having this big giant ball of gratitude and positivity.
Yes.
Which we built up going
it's
into
true.
This, right? We built up this big jawbreaker freaking jawbreaker that nobody could break through going into this, and our conversations and the family conversations and getting the mentality right going to battle, right? Because this was going to battle.
Yeah.
And I remember,
exactly.
And over time, those licks keep coming. They just keep on coming. And I remember it's slowly breaking down and trying to keep that energy up and keep that mentality positive and gratitude. Remember the conversations we had over and over, and and trying to find the empathy for you and trying to find the compassion for what you're going through, but at the same time, trying to be
positive
and be that
I know.
be that strength behind it. And you know, it was one of the hardest things to watch. Right?
It was hard. And that's the other thing is I'm not one to I'm not weak. I think I'm pretty strong, and I'm pretty
one of the strongest.
well, I'm just when all this happened, I had to become the most humble, and I had to give up all my physical strength and allow people to help me. So that in itself was a change for me. And, you know, just to have to give yourself up.
The vulnerability, right? I mean, being vulnerable in general, and
literally
emotional vulnerability is hard.
Yep, all of it, everything. I had more people fill my chest up during this time. I didn't even care anymore. It's like anyone could walk down the street and fill me up. I didn't care.
Listen, you know what? I mean, you got to make up for lost time. But anyway,
right. But
okay. But right, your vulnerability, the intimacy aspect. I mean, I remember, even having, I don't know how, I from a brother's point of view, it's one thing. From a husband's point of view, and what Greg did, changing your bandages, being there, taking care of you the way he did.
He was, I mean, he was amazing.
I commend him on so many levels. I mean, I loved him before that. He was tremendous.
He went to every doctor's appointment, every fusion with me, except for the day that you went for my exercise thing. That was the only day he missed. But he went to all of my chemo, sessions, fusions with me, and worked there. Everybody got to know him too.
I remember going. I remember talking to them about, they were all, But I tell you what, the room lit up when you'd walk into that, when we walked in there, because I mean, it was scary as shit for me. I mean, I didn't know what to expect and walking in there with you. I mean, having to see you alone. I mean, just in general, doing this and going through all this. But I was so proud of you when I walked in and saw how you handled that, saw how they treated you. It showed me exactly. That's when I had to see that stuff, because I needed to gauge where you were.
Yeah.
Right. As trying to be what you needed, and to kind of, I guess coach, right. I guess in some aspects, whatever I was doing.
Yeah.
And I could have been prouder, because the game plan, and I keep talking about the game plan. I mean, I know the whole family, but you and I know, what I'm talking about. Our game plan.
Yep.
That we put into effect was 110% accurately being worked out. You were doing exactly that. You walked in, positive, laughed. They knew when you were coming in, it was cool. They knew, there's a thing that goes along with it. It's not, and I'm not saying, obviously everybody goes through their own thing, and you've got someone who walks in that's having a bad time, and they have to, and the crew, obviously our mother being a nurse for 40 years and understanding that empathetic aspect of medical background, but how you have to be different. And even general manager of a restaurant, having to be different vibes. You walked in and they were different. They were all over you. They knew. It was just really, special. It was
cool. Look, when I realized, as we talked about in the beginning, I gave myself the week of mourning, literally. I cried a whole lot. But when I made that decision that I was going to do this, it was like, I'm in it, and I have to fix it, and I have to make this better, and I'm going to give it all my all and see where it takes me, because I can't change it. So why am I can't sit there and dwell in the dark cloud. I just can't do that. And I wasn't going to allow people to have to take care of me. I really wanted to get strong again because I didn't like feeling weak and all that. I wanted to just get healthy and strong and and then when I realized after a while, my family was important and stuff, but going into the fusion centers, seeing those other people that were going through their own, and honestly going there and even just making one of their days and trying to get them to smile. I was like, if I had it pretty good. I felt like I had it pretty good because I wasn't getting sick, which blew my mind. And so I was going to give it back to them because I'm like, I got to give you what I have to help you get through this, because my thought was just plan, prepare for anything. That was my plan. That's what I did from day one. I planned, I prepped, I got all my arsenal stuff ready, all for my drugs, my painkillers, my, everything. For anything that could happen, I was prepared. And I had to use none of it. And I don't know if it was my mindset. I don't know if I got lucky. I don't know. But all I know is I'm so grateful that I did not have that issue of roughness.
You didn't have the roughness. You had
Mm-hmm.
mindset is absolutely a huge part. I'm going to go with that. You can't per se prove it, I guess, but there is proof. There's people that believe in this. I certainly do. And I think now, even being able to go in there and how you touch probably some of those other people, like the ripple effect from this situation has been so impactful on so many fronts. I mean, you're walking in there and how many people you might have talked to that maybe help them, or, and not to mention how many you're going to be dealing with or helping in the near future. Like, because how many people we're going to be helping out, like even doing this show right now, right? Like, how are we, what you've done to go through that. Well, first of all, it starts with what it did to you and your family and all of us, mom and dad, Chantel, Katie, Shane. I mean, the whole works, and that how that brought that back to us, and it brought it back to you and brought it back to the center point of everything that was going on. So we are now a lot closer unit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, on so many fronts. Are you good?
No, I'm good. I just got my dog here. I'm trying to get him. Anyway, but we are closer. This whole thing has brought a whole different unity, I guess. We were already close though,
No, right. But no, but I'm talking about, there's a thing, it's a different level.
It's a different connection.
It's a different level.
I think.
Yeah, I think it goes from, you want me to go over there and you want me to grab him, take him outside for a walk, or what do you want?
My husband actually just went and got him away from me. So I mean, it was nice. He was trying to lick my feet, but I wasn't ready for it. So
I tell you what, about a year ago, that felt nice, but
that's the one thing though. Your animals do know that stuff too.
I was gonna say, I remember that. I remember talking about how they jump on you and lick certain spots and they know things are bad, and interesting.
Exactly.
But I think the family unit definitely, there's a tighter, something happens, more of a soul connect and something like this. I mean, we're always, and you don't really know it's there in that way, I guess, until something like this, or the mortality aspect kicks into gear. When you face the mortality, you actually, you touch, I don't know, the soul gets touched. There's an internal core that,
it's funny how even with you, your life changes. Some things get into a different order. Your priorities change. You find out, I want to be more with my family. I want to do more things with them, just things that I took for granted, I think, even though I didn't think I did, but I felt like I just need to do more for them. or I don't know. It was just interesting how.
Well, was it more for them, or was it more that you found out what you really wanted and that was something you wanted to do more of? I mean, not that you don't always love your family.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like you said, you know again, starting with what you realize about yourself, and then you start, it's actually, I guess I'm not saying it's an unselfish or selfish thing, but you realize you really care about this, and this.
Yeah, exactly.
which is what we talk about. You know, I've had the conversations, and certainly over the last couple of years with multiple people since this happened with you. I mean, obviously you know, I changed my whole career around.
Yep.
It made me, I looked at mortality in a completely different way. I quit my career of 27, 28, 29 years. To start
Which was amazing to me, and proud of you for that.
Well, I appreciate that. And a lot of it was due to this situation, but when you get touched in a way that, again, you get touched in a way, I was inspired by the situation. And, you know, inspired in a way that, you know, I saw what you had to do to get by and how much strength it took and was taking. And I try to put myself in your shoes, and then try to swim around in your mind a little bit to just feel it. And I did that on a regular basis. And I mean, in the conversations we had, and even at any time I was there, I really went into that world and looked around what it would be like if that happened to me, or if this was happening to me and it was happening to you, but also it was all encompassing. And what I saw was, you know, amongst other things that were going on in my life, was that mortality is real and life is short. You don't have time to fuck around, you know. It can life can come by and it can get snatched up anytime. And you know, all you have is right now in this moment. All you have is this moment, this second, because everything that was is gone and everything that's coming isn't yet. Right. So all you've got is right here, right now. And
every moment counts.
Every moment counts. And are you doing, you know, I mean, and I know we're trying to switch it up again. I mean, I'm just trying to give an idea of what it did, but I mean, I went from, and again, maybe in the mentality of life versus death, but I went from a job I was really great at. I was, you know, for those that know, I mean, I'm not toot my own horns, pass down. I was really good at what I did.
You surprised me when you decided to do that.
I mean, a lot of people surprised a lot of people. People thought I was off my rocker. And I think there was a lot of sense, in some sense, maybe I was in some sense, but I don't think so, because I was guided from a different place. I wasn't guided with I wasn't following my what makes sense.
Yeah. The norm
of what we are programmed into. This is the set ways of being. I found with this cracked me open in a way, and looked at the vulnerability aspects and intimacy aspects, and looked at myself and all these things. And I've been working on for a long time. And this just cracked me open enough to see that I want to try something different. I want to find something to, you know, be something. I just want to do something different. I want to try something I hadn't done before, and I wanted to always do. So I did. I was able to, God bless, but it was all, and you are a lot of the same way. Well, we'll just go into, in terms of what happened. I decided to do this show, right? I went in and decided to produce a concert, a benefit concert, because of your situation, and got a bunch of bands together and comedians, and went
which
and raised
was
some money
a really
for
fun night.
an amazing night. And we got you up on stage, and we we got you up on stage, but we had food. We had, I mean, it was
you had so much stuff there. I was blown away. And that location was amazing.
It was
really was. I was totally blown away by that whole thing.
Yeah, this is the Band of Angels, but I mean,
it's Summer.
We had Summer, and it was Peter and a few other these, you know, Kelsey Scott, who was amazing. And this is leading up to the show, the family and some friends I know. We're just going to blow through this here. My cousins, Christy and Skylar. We had the silent auction. There was a little entrance there. A lot of fun. Not too many people there yet. But I mean, the idea was, and we raised a good amount of money for, no, look at that one. That's a good one.
That was a good one.
That was a good one.
Yeah. That was so much fun.
It was such an amazing night. And I'll tell you that I'll stop with that right there. The part that was amazing about it was when I came up with the idea it was about raising money and bringing light to this, but it was about us dealing with this and facing this head on, and turning a bad thing into one of the most amazing situations. And it didn't, like, I didn't make money on the deal. Okay. It wasn't about making money on the deal. I lost money on the deal. We raised a good amount of money for the deal. It wasn't about money per se. It was an amazing night, a really fun event. And I learned a ton on so many angles, but we as a family got to celebrate. We celebrated life. We celebrated.
We did.
We celebrated life, and and what it meant to be alive. And on so many levels, that night was one of the most special nights of my life. Right. And I mean,
Yeah.
you were terrific. You got up at stage. We talked a little bit. We danced a little bit. We got snookered a
Yeah.
little bit. When you weren't supposed to be drinking, but a little, a little something in there. But
I had a little bit, very little,
just a
but
little
yes.
bit. But you hadn't drank in a while, so you were feeling no pain. But but it was, what we did as a unit and where we are right now, because of where this was, what this did. It makes me so proud to be sitting here right now. Again, proud because, again, perseverance, mentality,
Yeah.
positivity, strength. I mean, all these things that people talk a lot of shit about having, and we and a lot of people out there can do this too. And I think everybody, but again, it's mindset, and it's scary as hell.
It is.
And it was scary, and none of it's not scary. And you have to talk yourself into you. We had to talk you into it. And you had to talk yourself into the survival.
Yeah.
And again, this is something that it's eating right and doing stuff, but there's only so much you can do in a time like this. There's only so much you can do. But again, you're lucky we had insurance.
Yep.
There's so many people that don't have insurance.
I know.
So many people
my company was amazing that I worked for. They helped me out while I was recovering. So I had a little bit less stress than maybe most people because they just were so cooperative. They had about 120 or I don't even know how many hours of donations of vacation time that my coworkers put together for me that I could use so I could stay home and recuperate during chemo and radiation. So it was definitely amazing on how my company came together for me.
Such amazing,
Yeah.
Such amazing company. They donated some money to the cause also.
They did. Todd and Associates.
Todd and Associates, who you work for, great people.
Yep.
We had, there's just some amazing, again, sitting here and where, I feel thinking back, I feel completely different as a person.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like, isn't it one of the most, if you want to talk about miracles in disguise in a sense?
Yeah, I agreed.
We talk about where it could go to and even we talk so in depth about where this could go, how we could feel. And we talked about how, and you remember I said in a couple years, this is going to be a story we're going to talk about. We're going to we're going to be able to help people. We're going to be able to do all these things. Right. We sat, remember that conversation?
Yep, I do.
We just got to keep our minds, keep your mindset, keep your, be strong. This is something you only get what you can handle.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree on all that. I think that we all are put in different tests as you are living. And I definitely think this was kind of a test, but I feel I passed it. I feel that things have gotten better because of it. I don't know. And the thing is, it's, even now, granted, going through everything, I'm still recouping, right? They say after your chemo and radiation, it could be up to 2 years to 3 years of your body not being normal because it's literally in every vein. You know what I mean? It's affecting every piece of your body.
Completely poisoned.
Yeah. And, some people choose not to go that route. Some people choose, like Summer, she decided not to do chemo. She was trying to save her vocal cords and stuff. Yeah.
Summer Watson, who was the opera, she was a co-host of Kelsey Scott for my Band of Angels event that we created. She was an opera singer, and the background, she is still amazing. And she took the natural route, did not do radiation because she was concerned about her vocal cords, risked death by that, and went and did the whole natural side of it all, and she survived and thrived. And such a miraculous, amazing story. But it's, again, mind over matter, and diet.
It's a lot of comedy if you can help it. A lot of just anything to keep the energy more positive than negative. It really is the vibrations, as they say.
Also minimal drinking, bad stuff.
I don't even drink. My husband's mad, but.
I know, right? But that's
you gotta do that.
Polluting your body. You got to keep your body clean.
Well, and with my nutritionist now, because of the type of cancer I have, I basically was told by my radiologist that I need to go more vegan or vegetarian. So I've been working on that with my nutritionist, and I'm doing great. I mean, basically it's, keeping away any type of hormones that could be in possibly the proteins and things. So it's just safer for me to be vegetarian or vegan. And that's
both, right? And
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
proven thing,
exactly.
right? That's better for everything, right?
And it's better. It's just better in general for people, just saying. But it really does help. And now that I've got an idea and the science behind it, I mean, before, you eat and you just eat and it goes in and whatever, but now I eat and I know that everything I eat, I'm grateful what I'm eating. I'm literally taking organic food and putting it in. I think about everything that goes in is changing my cells, hopefully for the better and not for, it's just an interesting way of thinking that I never thought about before on the cause and effect of the food going in and out,
Well, and it's interesting. It starts with an attraction of mind and energy into this shell that we have here, right? This shell, and we got to think about what we can put into the shell to clean it up. So it's all starting this positivity mentality, the gratitude of it all, bringing it all in, making you feel as good as you can be on so many levels. But you have to start. It all starts with the mind being in the right place, right? And you have to mantras and stuff like that.
Well, and or hopefully get to the right place. I know it doesn't start in the right place, at least not for me. It didn't. It was hard in the beginning, but if you got the right plan, you literally have to make a plan for yourself. A plan if this happens, you kind of do have to make a plan. And the plan was for me to be positive and fight.
Well, and a lot of people have, a lot of people don't have support staffs out.
I know.
Support, which is really important. You did have a nice family unit all the way around that you were supporting.
And my friends. I actually got close to my high school friends again that really helped me through it. And the best part is, and I need to even say thank you to them, because even every single day of my chemo treatment, I had 7 friends get on a text message with my husband, and they would text me the whole time I'm going through chemo. We were all going through chemo together, and they were all in Minnesota and I'm out here, and they were texting me throughout my chemo treatment. Every time I had a chemo, they were all online talking to me and, just talking whatever to get my mind off of the chemo, which I thought was just amazing. It was really, I love you guys if you're listening.
Well, if they will be. And that's the other part they have, but if anybody that's going through it, there are support. I mean, there's numbers you can call. We should have had some of that stuff listed on here, which I suck at. I should have had that done. Do you remember any numbers off the top of your head or anything off the top of your head that the call?
Well, I know that the American Cancer Society is who we dealt with here in Arizona. And of course, Susan Coleman in LA, like you, if you go to their websites, they generally will have a lot of different places or things food wise, even where to get wigs and stuff when you need it. But even then, there's a lot of things I even learned during my treatments too that, they don't even mention at times. But there's a lot of things I learned, and I was able to, kind of talk to people that were at the fusion center and help them out and give them little tips on people that were just starting out with chemo and stuff to help them get through it with less side effects. So that was a lot of learning that happened there, but it was good. I mean, I felt good that I was able to pass that along to people. So.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think the website for Komen is KomenLAcounty.org. For out here.
And this one is just the American Cancer Society, I think, .com, if I'm not mistaken.
The internet's full of stuff, but the point is to find support, get support. I mean, however, again, the mind is strong, and it puts a lot. It's imperative. It's needed to get some of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
what do you think?
If anyone ever needs any type of help or even support, I mean, I'm always there to help them. So if anyone reaches out to you or something too, I'd always be willing to try to help them. that's the one thing. I met a couple people even on the side when I got done. I got to meet a couple patients that way and connected and helped them. They were just starting out. So there's a lot of, there's a huge community on this. And like I said, a lot of those websites will help you get the items you need, especially, I mean, even house cleaning. They even have things like that for treatment or patients that are going through treatment and things like that. They have volunteers that help and stuff, especially if they don't have a lot of family with them or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And yeah, Pink Ribbons Caring we just did for television out here in LA. I was one of the hosts for that.
You did a good job.
Thank you very much. It was a lot of fun, but that was for, to raise money for during everybody right now during all the stuff that's going on with all COVID and everything like that, to raise some money to help out. And again, Susan Coleman's, always helping out and doing their thing, which I appreciate. But again, if you're out there watching, you can Venmo Ryan-Quast. I covered that once, but Venmo Ryan-Quast, and anything that comes my way. If you watch this prior to Halloween, I'm going to make a donation, whatever comes in. If nothing comes in, it might be tough because I'm stuck in the boat with everybody else trying to make donations. But I've definitely worked and helped out and did a lot from my part for trying to raise some money. I think we raised close to $500,000 on that weekend for Susan Komen, which was great. But
Nice.
more never hurts. There's people out there that need it, and
yeah,
I mean,
up to little things. Things. My biggest thing is I just want everyone to know to go get checked. Don't put it off. Go get checked. Men, women, whatever. You need to go to the doctor and get your checkups. And like the football players they even got the crucial catch this year that they're doing with their jerseys and stuff to remind people you need to go get checked.
Yeah.
And it saved my life.
Well, and again, COVID is, it's a tough thing right now. I mean, I am actually myself, I haven't gone to the doctor in a while. I actually need to be going, and I'm not a young buck, no matter how I look. But you
look the same as you did when you were, 8 months old.
Well, if I got up, you'd see it's a whole different anyway. But no, the point being is that it's scary times right now, but you go too long, it's scary. Like you were saying, you were 3 months over.
Yeah.
It's your life that you went. So, it's tough times right now, and we're all, there's a lot of fear and a lot of that stuff too. And that doesn't make things easier on anybody.
I know.
So
it really doesn't. It complicates it.
It does. So call somebody, go telehealth, do whatever, find out some information, try to get in someplace safe. And I don't know, Ange, I think the journey's been pretty extensive. I think we've gone up and down, the whole family and all of us. It's been something spectacular and horrible, and I
know everything you could think of.
Everything you could think of.
Every emotion. I mean, it's exactly that.
But we're
yeah. I don't know. It's been an amazing journey, and you just don't know how much you love your family until something like that happens.
Just in general, it's
love life.
Love life. Say you love you to everybody. Try not to fight be
kind to people. You don't know what they're going through.
Compassion and empathy. Self-love. Live in the moment.
Yep. What does the bracelet say? Hope is grief's.
No,
I can't even say it.
That's what we were saying. That's the title of this whole show, was Hope is Grief's Best Music.
Yep.
That's what I made up for you. I think that was the first we had this happen. And I went and got a bunch of these bracelets made up, and the other side says what?
It says gratitude.
#gratitude.
And as you can see, it's in Vikings colors.
Oh yeah, we got a bunch of things going on here. Hold on, I'll go up, just kind of give a shout out here too. Oh, wait a second here. Yeah, so a lot of bracelets going on. This is I actually just got back from Minnesota and saw some cousins, and they made me a couple different bracelets here. And this is the little butterfly.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so
nice.
The main one is Hope is Grief's Best Music. It's kind of our motto now with the family, right? It's kind of our motto. So
it's true.
I didn't make it up. I found it, but it was brilliant.
No, it's perfect. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
So listen, love the ones you with, you know, anybody needs any questions or needs a conversation. I'm here all the time. You can reach me on social media. You can get,
Yep.
for those
Me
that
too.
don't call me, any of this stuff, need advice, need direction, need a shoulder to cry on via
Exactly.
for anything, even I mean, I tell you what, even during this COVID time, what we went through in this actually, and certainly for me, had me ready to go to deal with this in a whole different way than I can't explain how all this stuff works together for us.
Yep.
And we're so grateful I'm so grateful for you for busting your ass and handling it. And
I'm just glad you guys were there for me too, and let me be vulnerable. I was allowed to be vulnerable, and I got through it, and I was loved, and I'm gonna cry.
well, you know, it was I know this is I found this one last thing. I write poetry, for those that don't know. And it's not a crazy poem or anything like this, but it's a poem I wrote during that time frame. During that time, but it's not, you know, it's just something I remember writing during that time because I was thinking about death.
Mhm.
And I figured, you know what, and I don't read this out loud very often, but I'm going to read a poem to you guys. So
Do it. Oh my gosh.
it's called See You There. Be wise in the eyes on days of surprise. Be slow with your tone, words compromise. Be meek in the street to those that sleep. Be clear with your dear, animosity will creep. Be joyous to thoughts when raindrops drop. Be vocal to fear, grow it not in your crop. Be righteous to seek benevolence creek. Be aware of clutter, cause your boat to leak. Be honest as hell, if that makes sense. Be fully coherent. This shell is a fence. Be one with me and know that we will be together forever once we've had our fill.
That was really cool.
So that's my death poem during that time frame. And I mean, it was obviously a lot of things going on in my mind, but you know, I was thinking about you at the time. So I love you. And
I love you too. You're gonna make me cry like a baby.
you know, but anyway, everybody out there,
Be nice to one another.
nice, and take care of yourselves. And I love you, sis.
I love you too.
Love you,
I
mom
love
and
you,
dad.
Red.
Love you all. Chantel, Katie, Jesse,
Shane,
Shane,
Greg.
Greg, family back home, all the girls on all the friends. I don't even know. Mom, dad, I need to say that. All right. So I love you. Thank you
I
so
love
much.
you too.
Proud of you. Still proud of you.
Do it again.
We'll do it. All right. So everybody, thanks for watching. Q loves you.
Bye-bye.